As a pastor, I've ministered to many couples over the years, and I've made an interesting observation with regards to this particular dynamic. I'll break it down for you. Oftentimes, I'll hear a wife say something to her husband that he considers disrespectful, and then he'll respond letting her know as much. And typically, the wife will respond with a phrase that sometimes sounds like this: "Hey, I didn't really mean it. Stop being so sensitive." Which I'm not quite sure helps, because what that basically is communicating is, hey, focus on my intentions, not on my actions. Of course, the other side of this dynamic is that a husband will do exactly what his wife wants, even though he doesn't want to. And because to her, it feels like he's not doing it out of love, just out of compliance, she'll get hurt. Of course, at that point, a husband will respond with a phrase that sounds something like, "Hey, what does it matter why I did it, as long as I did it?" I'm not much of a golfer myself, but I have learned this phrase as I've observed other golfers on the course, that whenever they make a bad shot, they basically want a free pass, and they call it a mulligan. In relationships, we have our own mulligan phrase that we will use. And it goes something like, "Hey, God knows my heart. In other words, I think you need to give me a pass on whatever I just said or did." When it comes to addressing this dynamic, we can take a lesson out of the book of James in chapter 2. It says this, in verse 14, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but does not have works? Can such faith save him?" And then later on in verse 18, it says, "But someone will say, 'You have faith and I have works. Show me your faith without works, and I will show you faith by my works.'" In the kingdom of God, both faith and works are important. And in our natural relationships, both intentions and actions should be valued and demonstrated. Even Jesus addressed the same dynamic in the Sermon on the Mount. After sharing with his people these amazing principles and kingdom dynamics, he wraps it all up at the end, and he has a parable in chapter 7. In verse 21, he says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. And on that day many will say to me, 'Lord, Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name and drive out demons in your name and do many miracles in your name?' Then I will announce to them, 'I never knew you.'" That's a powerful statement, because you see, when we know Jesus, meaning we have a relationship with him, we have to open up our heart towards him. And that should result in us having the kind of heart attitude that is followed with actions that demonstrate that heart attitude. So you see, whether it's in married life or in our general relationships with others, it's not enough to just have good intentions. We should have actions that reflect those intentions. The scriptures say that this is important to God, so it should be important to us too. So the next time you want to mulligan in your relationships, keep in mind that our relationships with other people will always be a reflection of the relationship we have with God.